Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Harmonics.
I don't wanna miss when you hit that high. Wake me up before you go.
And today's episode is featuring cosplay. I am Rachel Z, one of your hosts, and I'm currently cosplaying as Cortana from the Halo franchise. And I have my co-host here.
I'm Aria, and I'm currently channeling Jennifer of Vengerberg from the Witcher universe.
Oh, yes, I love that. So, if you caught last week's episode, apologies in advance. It's very fitting that I'm Cortana. Apologies for the technical difficulties.
We are resuming.
We are resuming now the live stream as well as a live recording, so you can get the replays as well. But what we talked about last week was solstice, and the concept of today's harmonics is about dealing with stories, alchemizing the frequencies that come through at the time and having a conversation about it and seeing what comes through the ether.
Yeah, an exchange and an interchange between each and every one of us, and that's our harmonic expressed and received.
Yes.
With that, I'm quite new to the world of cosplay, but you know who isn't is Rachel.
Me.
So, Rachel, give us an introduction to why cosplay. Why do you do this?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I mean, cosplay is costumed play.
Yes.
Right. And I forgot to mention that this is produced and managed by Quantum Play Studios, a subsidiary of Golden Sugar Productions.
Yeah.
But from that is play, the idea of playing, and that being probably the best way to learn anything, and sacred play and all of that kind of plays together into
Pun intended.
cosplay, right? And so I love to refer to life as the game of life. I like to refer our astrology as a way of looking at our character profile sheet and how we want to enter the game. And I also look at being cosplay, trying on the different aspects of myself that I see embodied in the archetypes of these characters that we see.
One of the things I love when you were explaining this to me and encouraging me,
Yes, to try it.
yes.
Well, let's think of it, cosplay therapy.
Yes.
You know?
I love how you explained it to me. The way you said it was, we take ourselves way too seriously. Like, I am this one single identity. We overattach to perhaps our personality construct, or we're like detached from it. We try and like do weird things with it. And so entering, merging, morphing into different characters allows us to play into our, I don't know, bring up, bring out, or explore safely, playfully, lightly, lovingly, these aspects of ourselves, which we are either, fighting or trying to embrace, or just, I don't know, a completely different way of thinking. So that's kind of what it's brought into my universe, personally, just from knowing you and watching some of your videos.
My live cosplays.
Yeah.
And it really all started to I think the first character I realistically cosplayed was Supergirl. Was for Fan Expo when my sister was here, and we dressed up and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot of fun. And so from that perspective, I just realized there's a whole world around cosplay, and there's also a level of, I think, respect one needs to have for these characters when you're putting together something for them as well, because these characters do mean a lot to people.
Yeah.
And it's also like when you're embodying that character aspect, you just want to hope that you do that justice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's this lovely play of the boundaries of our identity, right? Like, where we all watch things or have characters where we resonate, or even we hate them, or for whatever reason, but they inform. It's like they form the edges, the mirrored edges of where our identity might end, and pressing into one aspect temporarily. And I was thinking about this just before the show, right? It's this, we wear masks every day. We wear costumes every day. Like, we might put on a business suit.
Let's expand the definition of what it means to be. Like, we said this on one of our shows, like, where it's a big LARP.
It is a big LARP.
live action
Yeah.
role playing.
And this brings like intentionality to it. Like just like, I mean, you look amazing.
Thank you.
And,
But I mean, like, also
getting ready.
Yeah, no,
like,
getting ready.
Eyes,
yeah.
hair,
Well, look
costume.
at you. Like,
I mean, I just look like this normally. It's just funny. I didn't have to do much to dress up as this character.
But that's the best thing. I feel like if you are a new cosplayer and you're like, I could never do that. But it's so much fun. Like, I feel like it's also a level of trying on that personality type as well.
Yeah, like when we were kids, we might have tried on our parents' clothes or like a different sibling.
Yeah.
Like this is something that's actually more natural to us than we think. It's considered childish or immature.
Yes.
Because adults like to sever from their child play identity thing. Yeah. But when your child is wounded,
though, you are playing when you go to work. You know, like
true.
There's tons of adults who I see
tons.
playing when we work together too.
Yes,
like I'm playing as a project manager.
Yes.
But
I'm gonna tell people what to do.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
I send emails all the time. But that's more like that's just a role, right? And I think as we're going to play in this episode, how we were discussing actually before we started this episode, this live stream, this live recording, about how we wanted to introduce ourselves. Am I going to introduce myself as like, hello guys, I'm Cortana, and I'm Yennifer, right? Or am I going to be like, oh no, I'm going to have some awareness of the fact that I'm putting on this character, and then that boundary between, you know, the backstage and on stage. So you guys are in with us as we are, like, before we
formally put on
the character itself. And I think maybe this is a good time to talk about maybe some background, brief background, because if we could,
we talk about it for hours. So Rachel, why Cortana, and what does the arc of this character mean for you in your life as Rachel?
Okay, so I'm gonna first come to why I love Halo in the first place.
Oh yes.
And then I'll go into Cortana, because Halo has a lot of nostalgia wrapped in it for me, because Halo 2, when it came out, I was about like 15, 16. I wrote the Dragon Warriors when I was 14, so I have like a way of like time mapping where I was consciously around that.
Sorry, the Dragon Warriors is a comic book series that Rachel is producing, writing, birthing.
Yes.
All of it.
All of it. Comic book, movie, all of it.
It's just
it's a new saga. It's a new saga, new mythos, I suppose. But I have a lot of memories of playing video games with all of my friends, having big LAN parties where we'd connect 2 Xboxes together, so you could have 8 people playing at the same time and playing all as Master Chief. And like, you know, it was, so I have a lot of memories wrapped up in the social and bonding aspect of Halo itself as a game.
Wow. Okay.
And wrapped up in that is wonderful story between Halo, because there's a lot of books, there's a lot of lore behind it. And Cortana in the games and the books, she represents Forerunner technology, and the connection to me, the Halo creators also talked about they got inspiration from Atlantis,
right?
And mythologies, like old mythologies. You can tell when you listen to the game, like the music. They add like this epic score to it. And Cortana is, if you play Halo Reach, she's the package at the end. At the end, like you're like the lone wolf and you die on the planet of Reach, and you're a Spartan. You're not Master Chief at this point, but you get Cortana to Halsey, and she ends up being Chief's like main navigator, and she's also.
So sorry, is Cortana an AI?
She's not an AI. She's not. She is an AI. I mean, in the game, that's. Oh my gosh! Like, she's based on a neural network of Dr. Halsey. And in the game of Halo, there's something called the Spartan program, which is a super soldier program where they take these kids. It's actually really horrific.
Yes.
They steal these children and like turn them into super soldiers. And part of the deal is that they get equipped with an armor. Mm-hmm. And Master Chief's armor, all the armors are called Mjolnir, which is the hammer of Thor. And the armor itself is equipped with an AI attack. But
why do you relate to an inorganic character?
Yeah, that's crazy, right? Because I'm so like, even in the book, like it's like the evil AI, right? It's because, you know what? If you think of a lot of tropes, even like oh my gosh, Altered Carbon, is that the one where
That
they have like the
is-
bartender
Yeah,
who's like
yeah,
also
yeah.
like an
Poe.
AI, yeah, who's like
Poe.
your helpful
Yeah.
assistant, right?
Yeah,
And they're
yeah,
just
no,
there to
he's
help.
great.
And even if you think of Star Wars, the droids that are
Yeah,
programmed, that are
that's
created,
true.
like in
Data and Star Trek.
yeah, so there's many personified, but I don't necessarily consider, I think AI has become this term that is encompassing things like
Yeah, that's true.
other things, but
Mm.
from a perspective of Cortana being an artifact of Forerunner technology,
Right.
she's also built off of a neural network of Dr. Halsey. So she's a very she's almost like a hybrid of sorts, and she's also a throwback, a callback to an ancient technology, to when humanity was an intergalactic species.
Right, because she is capable, like she flirts with Master Chief.
Yes.
And
Yes,
she
yeah.
so she has the ability to like emote, which like I think like during Star Trek, like Data sort of learns
Yeah.
a little bit to emote, and like
Yeah.
Poe has a lot of emotions and wanting to become human.
And it's a contrast to Master Chief, because Master Chief is very mechanical.
Right, and he's the person.
And stoic,
Yeah,
right? And
exactly,
so
yeah.
in Halo 4, she says, like, by the end of this, Chief, I hope you figure out which one of us is truly the machine. Right? So
Right.
it's about, like, she brings a lot of Master Chief's heart out because he cares about her.
Right. So is this your relationship to the character? Like the heart, the connectivity?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And I say connectivity in both meanings, like the network that Cortana has and the network that she is, the network that she's made of, her neuronet, as well as your personal experiences playing Halo.
Yeah.
Which connected you to your friends and you could see the stories.
Ooh,
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
good. Okay.
I
yeah.
am a sorceress.
I don't know if that necessarily gave background into, I guess it is why I love like Cortana. It's like what she represents as well, right? And then how that intelligence, or let's say the encompassment of like what technology is personified.
Right.
And how that can be something that you do care about, and we do interface. Like, I feel like also Cortana is an extension of Master Chief in some regards.
Yeah.
Like his feminine aspect.
Right. Yeah, right? That's totally fair.
She plays on that because ultimately in Forerunner world, the aliens that ended up defeating humanity, and that's why humanity ended up having to be reseeded on Earth. Right. With no memory, like we're cavemen, that we never knew that we were an intergalactic species. So there's a lot there as well. But all of those armors are equipped with their own helpful blue lady. That's what they call it in the book.
Helpful blue lady.
Yeah, who knows all the stuff and teaches them things and all that kind of stuff.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, so let's throw it to why you love Yennifer so much. She's come up in one of our talks, actually.
Yeah.
She was one of our character inspirations.
Yeah, so many months ago, we did this, and maybe we can put a link to that one.
Yes, it's a throwback to that. It's a good one.
It is a good one. Both Rachel and I discussed 5 characters that inspired us, and Cortana actually wasn't on your list, which is interesting.
Yes.
But this character, Yennifer from the Witcher universe, was on mine. And so I've only played a part of the early Witcher video games. So my connection and relationship to the character is a little bit more from the books and then the Netflix show.
So was the game made based on the books?
Yeah.
Or they kind of came up together?
I'm not sure. I think the books came first, or at least, I think the books came first because Wild Hunt, which is the more recent video game, just came out last year and a half.
Okay.
So I mean, there's gaps in years and stuff between them. But I think there's many reasons why I love the character. One is I get told that I am the character a lot, which is weird because I've never burnt anything knowingly. But there's this, like, she has, she's not the typical heroine. She's not like the good, helpful, loving girl like this. Like, she has childhood trauma. She's a wound of belonging. I didn't come from conscious childhood trauma, but I, like most sorcerer, magician, female characters, there is a desire to be, loved and belonged. And when there's trauma associated with it, you just crave power and attention, and you want eyes on you. And
That's a
that's
relationship
kind
with
of
power as well, right?
right. And like, because as a sorceress, you are powerful, then you kind of like lose where you are and where your power is. So in the books, she taps into something that is not allowed in their universe, which is fire magic. They can move and manipulate every element, and they can do that with fire as well. But in this universe, the constraints of this universe is if you do magic, you need a source. So I have to pull a source from
you can't have
life of
something from
flower.
nothing.
Exactly. So like energy is neither created or
I feel
destroyed.
like that's
so
like
I have
a rule of like every universe,
right? So you have to give something to receive something, which is super fair. For fire magic in their universe, you have to, I guess it costs you your soul. It costs you something personally.
Okay.
Which is, you know, I mean, I don't know if I personally agree with that, because fire is like the only element that you can't taint in alchemical sciences. So with Yennefer's character, and this is kind of where I relate to it, it's her spiral arcs, right? It's like wanting power, maybe associating like, you know, sort of a confusing love and power, and like choosing that she wants power, and then she gets it, and then she's bored as hell because she becomes the mage of this king, and that she's just, you know, she calls it like royal ass wiper in the shows. And then the meeting of, you know, with the actual Witcher, so which is Geralt or Rivia, having this like push-pull dynamic where neither of them is really safe in the relationship, neither him nor her, coming into her arc, reclaiming her, like the power of her motherhood, her power of her womb, and like actually getting to soften into that, but having purpose, having a different purpose than just having power. Right? The purpose is now training this child, allowing.
So at what point in the game, at what point in Yennefer's arc is she introduced in the game? Do you know?
Oh, in the game, it's been a long time. I know that you can't play her, at least not in the game that I was in, but you play Witcher the game as the Witcher. Oh, well, it's not a first person.
Actually, I'll rephrase the question. When Geralt meets Yennefer, at what point is she in her?
She is she comes from this hunchback, like she was a hunchback. She's like a fully formed, beautiful sorceress. She's lived for maybe 3 or 4 decades, or she's worked for 3 or 4 decades as a mage.
Okay.
So she's very fleshed out. A lot of her arc happens before meeting him.
Okay.
And by the time she meets him,
she's already
she's actually disconnected from the art, from the school and the brotherhood and Aretuza, and she's just kind of like soloing it for a while. So that's where it is. But like, I mean, the beauty of the Witcher series is the arcs are very developed in spiral. So it's not like a linear arc, like character and then goes here. It kind of evolves like this, which is like the beauty and the texture. And like the book has its own things, and the video game has its own plays and stuff like that. And I think in the video game, you always have choice if like Yennefer and Geralt should be together or not. You know,
and see, that's I think a difference between actually that'll be a good segue to our next segment, which is going to be acting out scenario.
A little skip. But before that, I just wanted to remind everyone that we have an email.
Yes, and now that our
technology problems are solved, our communication problems are solved.
Yes, you will be able to actually call in live, and we'll be able to take your questions live on air. But until then, we do have an email.
Yes, it is todaysharmonics with an S at gmail.com. So if you're called, please email us what you thought about the show. If any part of the show resonated or you know, how you felt, please be kind.
Yes. As well as if there's any other video game characters, actually, because as we get into our next segment, we're going to talk about like multiverses and the universe that we came up with, that all the Grand Arcade.
Yes.
But before we get into that, just the idea of cosplay and what characters you think that we could cosplay as, that you would like us to. We are open to suggestions and scenarios of what that plays out, because Quantum Play Studios, it's about you know, embodying that and then trying that character on and then seeing how that
changes you.
Yeah,
it's like it's almost like, you know, the books. I was thinking about this because how with your production company, with your husband Kevin, it's this thing about what is the production value? Like, why do we watch things? Why do we read things? There's something in us that is activated, right?
Yeah,
And
no,
like,
it's true.
you can mind numb yourself and watch whatever you want, but then you are a side character in your own story, and neither of us are side characters in our own stories.
That's
so
not. But
and
like,
maybe we were at some point.
Oh yes,
but we are not
yes.
now.
Yes. Oh my gosh, what a great comment.
Segue.
That's a great segue because both Cortana and Yennifer are non-playable characters, right? Now, to identify with a characters that like a character that's not playable, but however is integral to the game.
Yeah.
And in many cases, the favorite part of the game.
Yeah.
But what we're going to do is just try on that character for a little bit. We're going to have some lucidity in it, in the sense that, are we going to know that we're video game characters? Like
sure.
Deadpool? Yeah.
We'll bring in a little Deadpool.
We'll bring in some Deadpool, because I love Deadpool, because he's, I talked about him, that he's aware that he's a comic book character, right?
Yeah.
Like,
But and it's our expression of the characters,
exactly.
Right? So we may not be perfect to the movie or the show.
It is this version of it. So let's set the stage. I'm doing that for the effects afterwards, you guys. Like, maybe we'll have some fun. Like, now we're in so I want you guys to imagine something. Imagine
we're in the land of characters.
Yes. And so if we think of all of the different mediums of which we tell stories, right? You have everything from plays and, movies and
video games,
books, all of this. And so in this world, let's pretend that there's a universe, a multiverse, where all the different video games and their stories reside.
And it's called
the Grand Arcade of the Cosmos. Yes. And so every video game from the very beginning, people ask me like what my favorite RPG game was from the past. And I said Realms, because it's like a obscure, and people in my life knew what that was. So I was like, props to everyone who knows all the nerd stuff. But in this world, we have all different video games from all different consoles, from all different types, and all of these characters live there and play there, right? Think of like a reboot, like where warning, incoming game, and like it's a game. So what we have also is meeting places for these characters.
Yes. So in today's Grand Arcade, we have this little cozy spot where Cortana from Halo is
like
chilling.
A Shake Shack.
Yeah, like a Shake Shack. Is chilling and has a little interaction with Yennifer from the Witcher universe.
Yes.
It's these two very different, dissimilar worlds colliding, and what these two characters could talk about.
Exactly. So imagine there's this little Shake Shack in the middle of the Grand Arcade. Think of it like the mall, we're like, let's meet you there at the mall. So, and Cortana's like, and are we both sitting at the bar? Or are we just gonna like
sure,
walk in?
We're just like sitting with each other. Let's just do it.
And and then we're in.
And
then okay. All right, guys. Let's do it.
So what are you exactly?
I'm Cortana. I'm your helpful assistant.
An assistant? You're not organic.
Well, some may call me an AI, but I'm a very special AI. I'm based off of a real neural network.
What's a neural network?
It's right here. I'm sorry. You're not being touched.
I'm cautious at best.
Okay, yes. Well, a neural network ultimately is your mind. All of the organic ways in which your brain works have been used as a design for me.
I can't read your thoughts.
Oh my gosh. That would be the case. That's true, because my thoughts are everywhere.
Fascinating.
Yes. I'm attached to many different systems.
Cortana, is it?
Yes.
Yennifer of Vengerberg.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Intriguing to meet you.
Oh, from what game are you?
I'm from the Witcher universe. I came here to escape. I normally prefer to take baths at the Silver Heron. It helps me.
I don't know what baths are, but
you've never taken a bath?
No, I've never taken. I don't know what baths are.
How do you?
We don't have that. I was about to ask you how you were able to have some time off. Chief's in cryo right now. I'm on my 4-year gap in the game between Halo 4 and Halo 5. So I have some time. But otherwise, I wouldn't have time.
Is he your consort?
What's a consort?
Is he your male counterpart?
He's Chief. I don't know if he would be a counterpart.
Huh. What is his role in your life?
Well,
Cortana of Halo.
He's the hero of my game. He's how we save the universe.
Save the universe.
Yes.
I was in the business of saving worlds, but honestly, it costs more than it's worth sometimes.
Well, tell me about your world.
I come from a place that is called the continent. We wield chaos, which it's a form of magic, I suppose, but sometimes I suppose if you are a technology or an artifact of sorts, you are familiar with the notion of applying your will onto reality. And so in my world, we use elements. We transform energy and chaos from one state to another: air, water, earth, fire, which is forbidden, but it allows us to interact with our world and hold spaces of power, or so I thought. But it's not as simple as it yeah, it's just not as simple, I suppose, as it sounds.
Do you have things that try to destroy your universe?
Everything, everywhere, all the time. Places I thought that were safe. The very school I learned at, it's called Aratuza. It was attacked and pillaged and is now burnt to the ground. And now I'm in this in-between space where it's unimaginable to me how to protect the ones I love when there are threats everywhere. And I have this ability to be able to find them and navigate them, but in doing that, it pulls me far away from what I love. Do you understand?
Well, you're talking about duty, no? To help those.
For me, it feels more like destiny.
Oh, destiny. I like that idea. Well, I think in my case, our whole point of the game is to, save the world, save the universe from attack. We have an organic attack, something called the flood. It is the flood. Yes. The flood eats all things, all organic life, turns it into a mutation hive mind of itself. Something called the grave mind.
But you're immune.
Yes. But it does not mean that, I do not care about humanity.
So you are an inorganic consciousness that cares.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes. And I provide helpful tips to Chief as he goes through the game, because we do need to win the game. We are in video game world, after all.
We are.
And so, how do you help in your game?
Well, I suppose it's a little bit different because I'm not protecting the world. I'm protecting my world in the form of the people I love. My now adopted daughter, Surula, she is a force unto herself. Chaos, the magic I was explaining, weaves its way through her, and she has raw power, but everyone is after her. They want to use her as, women in my continent are so often used for somebody else's goal or power or end results. And I don't want that for her. And I want her to learn how to manifest her own magic, her own path. She should have that choice. I didn't have it, but she should have it. And Geralt, who is my
consort?
Sure, my consort. For now, at least.
Is that what those are?
You and I have a lot more in common than we.
Well, I mean, I get carried around in I'm attached to the armor. So
You get carried around.
yes,
Like wind.
a bit, but I can also get put into systems and be
Yes.
everywhere at the same time, but get pulled into one place.
So how do you manage being everywhere and also not in any one place? So while you're here with me, are you in other places?
I suppose so.
Huh.
Not currently, consciously right now,
Right.
because the game's not running.
Right.
But
of
if it
course.
was running, perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how are you everywhere at once? Like, doesn't it cost you? For us, everything costs. There's a give and a take.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, I can split myself off, but there is a cost to that, right? Because I basically lose my efficiency and my abilities the more that I'm splitting out and separating. So I guess like my power is dispersed.
As opposed to focused.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm trying to teach when the game starts.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm trying to teach this young girl.
So is your purpose in the game, that's a good thing to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Purpose in the game.
I love that this game is so multi-layered because for a while, as a character that you can't play, it's, you said it, it's a foil, right? You're there to provide a different aspect to the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And there's interactions, of course, and the interactions are so enriching to
but
that main character.
So in your game, your outcome changes based on decisions you make.
Correct. Decisions that the player makes when they play as the Witcher. I don't think you can play me in the game. I'm there.
Okay.
And because magic is such a part of the universe, in the shows and the books, there are these little adventures. So the time span of the game is very long. Like it's over a span of many, many, many years.
So
and
how old are you?
I've walked for many, many decades.
Oh wow. Many decades.
About 9 decades.
Okay. Well, I can only live till 9
years old.
Yes.
And what happens after?
Well, I suffer from something called rampancy.
What is rampancy?
Well, all AIs. Remember, I'm a special AI though, so there's more to this story, but I will tell you in a moment. But ultimately, rampancy is when an AI hits a certain point in time of processing and you get so good at thinking of all these problems, all these solutions, all these possibilities constantly in your head that you literally eventually think yourself to death.
That sounds like me sometimes.
Yeah.
Wait, you're not worried though?
I'm not worried though because we have a solution, me and Chief.
Yes. What's your solution?
We are going to find Halsey and she's going to, the original organic material, interface my system and perhaps I can live forever.
That is a worthy goal. I would not be taking it as gracefully as you if I only had 9 more years. I would burn the world. And if I have done that actually.
So. You know, though, it's because I think I've been with Chief through a lot of things. You know, that bomb we placed on the Covenant ship, that time we got blasted out into space. Because I'm right there with him in his helmet.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm just like, you're playing for both of us.
Sounds like you went through some adventures on your own. What's he like? Men are such fickle playthings.
Oh, no, they're not all. Chief's wonderful. I've always loved Chief. I picked him too out of all of them.
Picked him?
Yes. In my game, we have many warriors and they're named after the Spartans. And they all are outfitted with an armor and a helpful assistant, such as myself. And I, because of my specialness, because of the fact that I am not just an average AI, that I am based on organic technology of a neural network and in addition, an ancient technology in the Forerunners. So as a result, where was I going with this? I'm thinking myself to
What
death.
is are you thinking yourself
Yeah, I
to
am
death?
thinking myself to death, and like how we're gonna get out of this. But I've been on a lot of adventures with Chief,
Mm.
and so I think that out of all of them, it's just been seeing him grow because he started out so like I chose him because of luck. I could tell. He's like that's what they say in the game. Like I chose him because of luck. But there's also a matter of knowing that Chief would do everything, like would never let me down.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, in our universe, Geralt and I, and even Ciri, we are bound together by destiny.
Explain destiny to me. To you. Like is it like
Providence. And this is the difficulty. There is as much love as there is longing and heartbreak. And I think some part of me some part of me can never trust that what we have is love because there was magic involved in all of us coming together. So I question its reality. And you know what I have to say, I don't need him. I'm perfectly capable of doing everything myself. And that has been what my life has opened up into. But when he is there, well, whenever I really need him, he is there, and he anchors Cyrilla in a way I could never.
So who is Cyrilla?
She's my daughter.
I would not be able to have such a thing.
No. And I actually also cannot have such a thing. She's not my daughter by birth. I'm sterile. And this means that I do not have the ability to have children. But she's my daughter in every way that matters.
I understand that.
I feel like you do.
Yeah.
So tell me about how you can this dance of air, and you can figure out how to heal, I guess. But you're fine with this. Like you're okay. I guess
Yes,
I don't really
am.
have a question. I'm just not able to understand.
You know, I think it's just because you realize that. Oh yes, yeah, the air and fire. Yes. We're gonna move in. Yes, so I think it's a matter of air being related to even swords in tarot and double-edged swords, and also when you are thinking thoughts, memories, all of these very air qualities, they can come to a head and almost be unbalanced. And if you don't have a grounding, and I think in the Halo universe, she's like that grounding of like that stable male earth energy.
Same here, yeah.
Yeah, and then so between the two, it's interesting because being an air sign air is also masculine, and female embodiment of masculine energies can always be interesting to play with.
Geralt calls me a tornado at times.
Yeah,
but
that's kind of air.
It is.
Yeah.
In my world, in my universe, we also use air magic to open portals, and there is an element of illusion and how light moves and things like that. But yes, of course, we can manipulate the element of air. But in my universe, when we channel fire energy, which is also a masculine archetype, through anybody, it ends up costing us. In the show, I lose my entire connection to chaos, which makes me go crazy for a while. And in other parallel universes in the books, I lose my sight, so I'm blind for many years.
And that's all because you
tapped into fire magic,
and that was the cost. Do you know what the cost will be prior to?
No, not always.
Like playing with fire.
I use it as sort of a last resort.
I see.
So
Yes.
generally no, but yeah, they don't even teach it to us in school. So if the time ever comes to do it, that's sort of when you learn what the repercussions of your magic is, what source it tapped into. Like normally we'd use a specific source to convert energy, but not in this case. Yeah.
I love that. Okay.
That was our little
like segue sequence. Yeah, I love that. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
I learned so much about Cortana and Yennifer in that.
I did too.
I had to go there. I'm like, oh wait a minute. Let me think about it. Let me explain myself.
Yeah. So tell me this. In the most recent Halo, Cortana dies.
She dies. Well, she makes a sacrifice.
She makes a sacrifice. Yes. And it's very like heart-wrenching.
Yes. So she basically creates like, remember it's all air stuff, so like a mental world. So she creates this mental construct because they're trying to, in the last game, they're trying to turn everyone into digital files. And so it's interesting because Cortana becomes protector of organic life.
Right.
Yeah. And even though she herself is an AI, so to speak. Right. And I remember when she like fights the Didact, she's like, she's not doing it for humanity. She's doing it for him. Chief. Yeah. And it's because of what he represents in humanity.
Right.
And so.
But he doesn't represent a lot of like warm and fuzzy stuff.
No, he represents that part of humans that won't quit. That part that will not stand down, who will like no matter what. And because like all of the best quotes from Chief come from his interplay with Cortana.
Yeah.
It's always like she's like, we're not gonna make it. He's like, we'll make it. Yeah. And what if we miss? I don't miss. Like that.
Oh, so doubt is also part of her. Like
she teases him sometimes, right? And so she's kind of put it like, and or sometimes when so like, be careful, there's two of us in here. Right. So like make sure you don't freaking die.
Yeah,
like,
because there's two. So tell me, if you, Rachel, were to continue to tell the story of Cortana or like change it slightly because like she died and that sucks.
Yeah.
How would you script her?
Yeah, this actually, to take this on a little side tangent before I do that, is that I think this also will play a lot into like the show that you're going to be doing where you're telling stories, because like in the alchemy of storytelling, you have the opportunity to tell it the way you want, like add your own revisions. This is my version of the tale. This is how it ends. And video games are very unique as a medium because you are immersed in it. You are playing as that main character. Like no different when you're reading a book. Like you're like, I'm the character. You're relating to these characters, right? And that's when certain ones die, you like feel it in your heart when that happens. So as it comes to this, when Cortana dies, like I like, we played it. I was like my stream of like, oh, Cortana, and she like touches him, and she's like, welcome home, John. Like it just, and referring to him by his first name, right? Because they do have that connection, and he's just like, Cortana, we're getting out of here, like we always do, right? We always got out of here together, and she's like, not this time. Like this time, like I'm making the sacrifice. But really, in the beginning of the game, they had a plan to go find Halsey to have her not have the rampancy. Because in the end, she doesn't die from the rampancy. She dies because she sacrifices herself. She splits herself into a million pieces to overwhelm the Didact. Right. And that gives Chief the opportunity to place the bomb and like blow up the ship, and they don't turn Earth into digital files. Because they're coming after Earth to do that. So she makes that sacrifice, and they never have the opportunity to go. But in my world, they do that to the Didact, and they manage to grab a shard of Cortana to take to Halsey and like resurrect her.
I think this is how Altered Carbon ends. Actually.
Actually.
Like, now that you say it,
maybe.
Like, where have I heard this before?
Yeah, but like that idea of like that shard of like Cortana, and then being able to like reboot and like resurrect it, and have her retain the memories of
the magic of uploading a fractal. Yes. Because we're all fractals of the one.
Yeah. And I mean that's the whole thing too, because what Halo deals with is like the flood is organic, right? And so what the Forerunners end up doing is, that's why it's called Halo. They create the Halo rings. The Halo rings are bombs.
Right.
Yeah. So they like work, like the Covenant is like, oh, we worship it as like church structures. They're basically like, oh, we love the Halo rings, but like if you turn the halo rings on, it eliminates all organic life.
Oh, interesting.
And that's why Halo's the bad. I don't acknowledge this, guys. If whatever you play Halo 5, there's not even a campaign in Halo 5. So in Halo 5 and onward, Cortana's evil. She's the villain.
Yes.
But it's because like she ends up, I guess, being corrupted and she doesn't like organic life anymore. So if she were to turn on the Halo rings, it wouldn't bother them any because it's just going to kill organic life.
Right. I see.
So that's the secret of the Halo rings. That, and then this weird little stupid guilty spark AI tries to trick Chief into like turning the rings on.
I'm getting a vibe here that you don't like.
I don't like. That's the bad AI. He's an AI, but he's bad. He's a bad AI. Guilty spark and like 343. And I don't get because so Halo 2 as a franchise as well went through a period of time where it was Bungie first.
Okay.
And then Microsoft bought them.
Of course they did.
And that's why you have Cortana on Microsoft computers.
Oh, I did see.
Yeah,
I did notice
that's
the
from
sigils.
Halo.
Oh, right.
They took Cortana from that. So when
it's the
so when Microsoft bought got Halo, you could see where the storyline changed. Like if you look at 1, 2, you can see what happened there.
Yes.
And so that stupid AI, this new studio that basically did Halo, they named themselves 343 Industries, which is Guilty Spark, which is the AI that tricks Chief in the beginning.
Oh, that's just creepy.
Yeah, like why would you? And then Cortana shows up later because I forget what happens to her. And she's like, "This guy's lying to you. Do you know what these rings will do? They will destroy all life in the universe. Don't freaking." And then he gets all mad because he's like, "Oh no, you know my plan." And he's like, "Why are you not in on this with me? You're not alive either."
Yeah.
So yeah, so that
you're not alive either. Or like it's like the tension between organic and inorganic matter.
Yeah.
And how it
Yes.
Yeah,
So
like,
is there such a thing as like tech in the Witcher universe? Like it's magic.
It's magic.
Right?
Yeah. You know what? The cartoon that I've seen this maybe the best in is actually He-Man. Because in the He-Man universe, Eternia, whatever the land is like the history of Eternia is like it's a land of magic, and then something happens, like Grayskull gets buried. I don't know, Grayskull is the temple, like the anchor of magic.
Yes, I love
Grayskull is amazing. It gets buried by the power of Grayskull. It's what He-Man says to change. Actually, what all of them says. It's an incantation.
You got to work on those.
So magic disappears for a while, for some 100 years in Eternia, and then when magic leaves, technology comes back.
I see.
That comes in to fill the gap. And so then by the time the He-Man universe like reboots, there is magic returning. So this is like Tila and Eldris and all of this stuff. And there's still technology. And so then there are ways to like infuse magic with technology.
I see.
And so you have this like mixing of both worlds. But the tools in Witcher are I guess the technologies in Witcher I'd say are, portals and elder magic and the incantations, like they're more earth magic.
Yeah. So like based on like the earth plane, and, like using the elements.
Yeah.
Like
yes. There are these massive structures called monoliths that are portals to other dimensions. So travel is done. I mean, it's not really intentional, but travel is done that way. Like I guess that's how the monsters come in to the Witcher continent is through the monoliths.
Yes. Okay. So they're coming through other dimensions then?
There's it's actually very cool because in the Witcher universe, the elves and the humans, they live on a sphere, and there are other spheres. And at some point in the history of Witcher, the spheres all collided, and then that's why there's humans and elves and monsters. Like there was like a bit of a crossover, and then the spheres like went away again.
Very cool.
And so you have this mishmash. It's like the Witcher universe is like a post-conjunction universe. And so monsters, however, can find their way through these doorways that are the monoliths. And then they're like, it's like elves and dwarves and all of this stuff, right? Like there's one of the other main characters to me is the bard Dandelion, who's like singing and storytelling. Oh my god, I love bards.
Bards are great. I love bards.
Yeah, and like it's a very different angle, right? There's levity, but there's also perspective, and then the music. The shows do this very well. The music of the bard, his songs evolve. They're actually very different in season 1, 2, and 3, and it like matures with what is actually happening on the continent, because he's seeing his friends like Yennifer and Geralt, but he's also sensitive to everyone else. Yes, which is the role of artists.
Yes,
right. 100%. To be like the channel. And the
you
voice.
Always need to on the team, like Jason and the Argonauts, even if you're like in mythology, you always need to have like one who's like the poet.
Yeah, you need
or
it.
like the
yeah,
or the bard, the one who's like, I'm here to tell the song of the journey.
And
that we're
you
on.
were that when you were young, like when you first were like you were the scribe of your friend group, right? Like
to document it,
to document our awesome little adventures.
Okay, let's double check our show notes. I think we covered everything.
So I think
the story of Yennifer. Like, would you retell it?
You know what? I was really thinking about this because the story of Yennifer, there's so much struggle, but I think I wouldn't rewrite it in any format. Like,
or I guess it doesn't really end. Like in my case, there's an ending in some sort of regard, but
yeah, I mean, I think what I would continue to write is in the shows, there's in the early part of the first season, she chooses power over love. And then the rest of the arc, like in the later seasons, she is
it comes back around.
And now she's like, okay, love and power, or more love. And like in the books, I think at some point she like just goes off and lives on an island cabin with Geralt for like 2 years.
Oh, that sounds nice.
It does sound nice. I wouldn't mind that. Like they fight a lot and like they have like whatever. And it's this thing, right? Because like then they're called back because someone is attacking someone else. And so I think I guess the story as I would write it for the future is just coming to realize that like what it feels like for love to actually be power. The fear is that like if we love something, then you know someone can attack it and take it away and blah blah blah, and like that's fear of attachment. Right, like that, and that's a wound of attachment. And so like to me, and this is like every sorceress from like Scarlet Witch to Yennifer and all of right, like you get really attached, and then your emotions is what rules your power, your magic. So you become chaos, you know, as it's said in the universe. And so the arc here is to find like restfulness in your power and trust in self and the people that you've chosen, who you love, your chosen family or whatever, to then actually speak new stories of what love and power are.
Right? Do they end up together, Geralt and Yennifer?
I mean, I kind of lost track in the end.
Whatever that means.
I kind of lost track of the books, to be honest. In the video game,
there's a lot of Halo books too that I haven't read. So like, bear that in mind. I'm not like an expert.
This is just from what I've seen.
And what we resonate with. And I tell people this also in my live TikTok reads, that like not everyone loves each comic book that I'm reading, right? Some people like Marvel people, DC people, some people prefer the older comic books. People don't like the new 52, whatever it is. But regardless of it, certain stories will resonate with you for a reason.
Or certain arcs within a character.
Pieces, and you'll just pay a lot of attention to certain things. Like, and I just like, it's just interesting. Like, I'll just know certain details about stuff. And other people will know certain details about stuff.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Now together, you can just put those details together and then have like a bigger picture, but it doesn't mean each of your parts are wrong.
Right? And like, I think also that's why like we named the show Today's Harmonic, right? Because different harmonics resonate with you at different times in your life, right? Like, so so that's pretty much our show for today. A reminder, if you want to reach out to us, the email is todaysharmonics@gmail.com.
Yes, indeed.
And shall we tease next week's episode?
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, we're going to keep with the cosplay.
We are.
We're going to keep with the cosplay, yes. And also, I'm trying to organize my TikTok lives a little bit better in terms of like the scheduling, so that you can get them on a regular basis, and I will have you as a guest star.
Oh, amazing. So Rachel does these comic book readings in her amazing cosplay, and it's just
it's like a meta way of looking at the cosplay or the comic book of reality, right?
And like I love that people, it's funny, like, you know, as children we hear stories earlier than we read them. There's something so cool about being read a comic, because you do all the voices and everything too, right? And
my Batman voice has come a long way. My Joker was so I'm reading Doomsday Clock right now. That's not bad.
That's not bad. It's like a very
that's
raspy.
pretty good. So what we will be doing next week, just to keep in the theme of like playing sacred play, cosmic play, having fun with the different archetypes that we resonate with. And as I said, like on the live reads, I tell people that, you know, like whatever you're resonating with is what's meant for you too,
Yeah.
right?
And there's
I
fun in
truly
that.
think that in all the books, in all the stories, and all the movies that you really love or you watch all the time, there are clues there for you from like you.
Yeah.
There's a weird thing with that, right? Where or like you'll watch a really old movie just now, but it'll be from like the 80s, let's say, and then you'll just like get something. 'Cause,
Like the first Dune, like
yeah,
the or 2000s Dune, 2000s
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. So just
Yeah.
it's just you will come to those stories when it's meant for you to come to them,
Yeah.
and then in them there are keys
Yeah.
that help unlock different things in you.
Different parts of yourself.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's why like we're friends.
Oh yeah,
Because we will whatever
we've been friends
consume.
a long,
Yeah,
long
that's
time.
true.
I feel like
We'll like watch and consume or read something, and then it's like I love this because this is what it opens up, closes up, makes me contemplate, makes me like, oh my god, am I this? And then flesh out different parts, and then like there's more room for us. There's more room for like
yeah.
more of the self.
Yeah.
So who are we going to be next week?
Next week it's going to be, oh my gosh, is it?
Sorry, can you read my writing? We have show notes.
Oh, we're doing Emma and Jean Grey.
Emma Frost, the White Queen, and Jean Grey, the Dark Phoenix.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I'm gonna unveil my Dark Phoenix cosplay, which I've made
Yeah.
myself. But we'll see. Actually, I might bring in, depending on how we do it, we can maybe do a little transformation sequence.
Yeah, we're still figuring out a lot of many aspects of this like homegrown production.
Yes. So thank you for joining us on our
Yes.
journey as we like evolve the show.
Yeah, and
more
just like
sparkle to it.
play all of this out on the grand arcade and
Yes.
the grand
Yes.
what is the stage of life?
Yeah, no, it is the stage of life.
Yeah, it's a
right?
good
and,
lark.
and I think that also like we Jean Grey and Emma also deal with like psychic powers.
Yeah,
They're
and
very
it's a, yes,
in
and
different ways.
yes.
And how they
yes.
molecular, how they manipulate molecules, and then the relationship between that and your thoughts
and your emotions,
and
because
your
they handle
emotions.
emotions very
Oh,
differently.
yes. Yeah.
And
yeah.
they are like kind of like date the same guy at different points in time, Cyclops. So and it's interesting, right? Like
and
so
they're both educators. They end up being both teachers.
they are
right?
teachers,
and,
yeah. And they're such old beloved characters, right? And sort of to like sort through, because like Emma Frost is not fun in the beginning, like she's like fully evil.
Well, I mean, I only found out too when I was doing like a reading of the history of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
I read like that Tony Stark and Emma Frost got like a divorce or something.
Yes,
and I was like,
yeah,
what?
That is so weird.
They
it was
got
a very short. It was
When?
a very short marriage,
When?
mostly for convenience.
Okay,
It was like
yeah.
optics.
But then people in my life were like, well, they kind of have the same personality type. But I'm like, that's
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can
like
see that.
like it could work. They might have great sex.
But like, we will dive into this next week because I feel like it will be an hour today.
Yeah, we can talk about that
Yeah.
actually as Emma
and Jean. Yeah, exactly. Like one of the reasons that I like these characters, like we teased a little bit on like how Cortana and Yennifer work with the elements of air for Cortana and fire for Yennifer. And then it's sort of flipped, right? Because like the White Queen is very like air, cold air, ice.
and like diamonds, right?
Like,
and so
and then the Phoenix is just like fire and mystery.
yes,
So
yes. And then
yeah.
also there's also just intrinsic relationship that the Phoenix has with all of its hosts.
right.
And so, and then the concept of the Phoenix and the like. I mean, I feel like Yennefer would be a great host for the Phoenix too.
Oh yes, I think the Yennefer and the Phoenix would get along famously,
Yes.
maybe too famously.
Maybe a little bit too good of a
Yeah.
connection there, but Phoenix is the embodiment of all creation and destruction, right? So it's like this idea that the host that wields it, and that gets into like, it's why I love Green Lantern, and but that is a topic.
That is
another
or
time.
Promethea, which is unto itself a
Well,
topic.
that's gonna come up.
That's gonna
too
come
as
up.
well.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm reading Promethea right now.
Yes.
But like I love with Jean and Emma, the archetype of the Phoenix and the archetype of the Queen is it's a extremely, they're both ancient,
Deep,
layered,
yeah.
you know, across time and space, like depending on what part of the world, what you know, so there's a lot of myth in there. And then because
deep
like
symbols in that.
there's deep symbols, and so
Yeah.
how each expresses like through us, through everyone else, and through even, you know, the legacy of all the comics. That's a really fun thing, I think, to
Yeah.
explore. So that is our next week's episode. Please tune in.
Yes. I also want to do like, maybe we can look at all of their outfits. different costumes. No, but because like it's like they
Yeah.
how different comic book artists have decided to like draw them.
Yeah.
It's I might be able to pull something up ahead of time for that.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So we will find out. We will find out ourselves, and then we will share this with you live next week.
Yes, and we will hopefully, maybe if you do join live and have chats with us, we'll save this time period to answer questions.
Yeah, that's
as well.
In the third segment.
Yeah,
yes.
and there was something I was about to say.
Our email.
Oh yes, I was gonna throw to the email again and a question to think about.
Oh, let's do that.
Because last time we asked about solstice, but I believe that we kind of got cut off a little bit because of my technical difficulties. And so the question for this week, bringing it back to the grand arcade of life. What video game characters you resonate with, right? Like
the most and the least. I find those two extremes so informative, because if there's a character and you just always hate them, like I don't know.
I mean, also like there's people who deserve it.
No, but like you were telling me, like so many people love Cable or Thanos. These like traditionally evil characters, right?
There's a lot of love for them.
There's a lot of love for them.
Yeah.
So like there's reasons for that.
Who else? There was someone else. Deadpool gets a lot of love actually,
right?
As well. But there was someone else who was brought up.
Deathstroke.
No, but Cable definitely comes
Cable
up
is
a lot, and I just don't understand. I was like, I don't resonate
with Cable. I mean, he's fine, but like,
you know what? Too, we should get my sister on one of these shows as well. Yeah. She loves like random things. Like she loves the Punisher. Right? Like that's like who loves the Punisher? The Punisher doesn't even like Spider-Man, right? Because and then also something to talk about as well, like these different comic book heroes that actually don't get along with each other. Because that's something we can talk about next week as well, because Jean and Emma traditionally do not like each other, but
I think Jean tries way more and Emma just doesn't, because she's so like icy. We'll flesh that out in the skit.
We'll think of a scenario. What does it look like? And because also too, what I've noticed with like my X-Men comics is that there's just different timelines, right?
Yeah.
So which timeline Jean are we dealing with, and which timeline Emma are we dealing with?
Whichever one resonates with you the most, I guess. Yeah. Because like Emma in the Hellfire Club, when she's more evil, does not like that. To me is like the least interesting part of Emma.
Right.
The interesting part is when she like goes through like her dark nights of the soul. People die.
She goes through changes.
Yeah, she goes through changes, and then she like joins the X-Men, who she spent like so much time fighting, and how she has to like make amends with people that she's really hurt, like Beast and like Rogue to a degree, and like Cyclops himself, like and she's not a touchy-feely person. So now, how do you heal those relationships? Right?
How
like
does the Diamond Girl become a little bit softer?
Yes, that is the journey. That's like my journey. So it's like fine, Hellfire Club, White Queen, but like when she's in the X-Men, that's the interesting part. And so with Jean Grey, for you, is the interesting part when she's the Dark Phoenix, or when she like
because there's a few timelines, and I did Jean's birth chart and stuff.
Yes,
and I've noticed this also as well. If you guys have seen, like DC fleshes out what their characters, what their birth dates are. Marvel does not so much.
Yeah,
right.
It's because there's so many timelines.
That's it. So which one are we dealing with? And so with Jean, I think it's a matter of there's one timeline where she like decides to never deal with the Phoenix. And
is that the timeline you like?
No.
Okay.
But it's a matter of like, I forget what happens in it, but it's like it deals with time, and that like that's not possible, because you were always meant to be. You were always going to be linked with her. With the Phoenix.
Yeah.
There was no not choosing it. So it was about what you dealt with when you have it, right? In the Judgment Day comic that I was reading, where they created a new god, and it was cool because in the end, it's like as much as gods judge us, we can judge our gods, right? Yeah. And so they, in the end, like you have not been a good god. So like it's just like we can choose to not have you, right? Yeah. So
that's from Greek myth, like when the gods of Olympus die, and like those three judges that like judge how you were as a god, like they do. It's the gods go through the same judgment as people do. It's just their lives are longer. And that whole idea of it, and in the end, humanity does make that judgment, and so there's like a huge thing in there about like the cycle of like a god and like people and like the relationship between the two. But in that Jean, they each of the heroes go through a test,
and it throws Jean off because like Tony Stark passes the test and Jean fails, and so does Captain America. And they're just like tripped out. They're like, what?
How is this a thing?
I was like, this god sucks.
Yeah.
What the heck? Like, Tony, you made him. It actually it was
Yeah.
based on Tony's neural network. They made
Okay. So
I'm not going to
obviously-
get into the whole comic book, but maybe we'll bring up that comic book because Emma's a little bit in there too. And I'll also source some comic books that have a crossover
Yeah,
between the two
that
of
would
them.
be
Because I do
amazing.
think Emma and Jean go on like they team up to rescue Storm.
Which is
like
so
a,
sweet.
Which is a cute
Yeah.
kind of story thing to talk about.
Yeah,
Or maybe
and
we can act that out.
Yeah, and like it's interesting, right? Because like it's not like these girls are friends. Like they are not like
No.
there's tension there, but like you know, like we have tensions in our lives,
And there's also respect, I think.
Yeah,
between
there
the
is.
two of them,
Absolutely,
right?
'cause
Because
they're
if you're like a
extremely
high
powerful.
level, powerful psychic, there's a certain
Yeah.
level of respect you have for others. who
yeah,
are the same.
100%. So we will flesh all of that out. We don't know what it looks like yet, but join us Friday evenings, afternoons, evenings, Eastern Standard Time.
Yes, exactly. And
Yes,
we'll catch you all next week. I'm gonna have to run and like
you run.
turn off the screen, and then I'll have Aria do a little
you.
goodbye jingle to you all.
Goodbye. I do not jingle. Thank you very much.